Hey guys, it's JK Wargames, and today we're going to do a review for Frontier Wars by Van Ryder Games. Before we start, I just have to say a massive thanks to Draco Ideas for sending me this game for review. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what do we get in the box then? We get our rule book, which is full colour. It explains how to set the game up. Everything you get inside the box is explained as well. And then it goes into detail about the rules. It's quite an easy game to learn. And then as you go through, you get to scenarios at the back, and there's a lot of scenarios to play, but the ones you want to start with are the beginner ones because they're the easiest to learn. So that's our rule book. Then you get these game tiles. Now these aren't all the main game tiles, but this is just from the first game. And these act as your map, so this is what you're going to play on. And what you do is you have these, you have little miniatures, so you have tanks, infantry, planes and artillery. So these are the Americans. We then get the Germans, and then we get the Soviets and the British. Also we get a card track, which I'll just bring in now. Just move the camera. Now these cards, you get to select a card each turn. I'll just show you what one looks like. So you can see, really well made, good quality. I'll explain how they work later. I'm going to do a demonstration of how the game works. Then we get our victory track. So how you win the game is by points. So at the end of each turn you're going to score a certain amount of points, and this will go up the track or it will go down the track depending, and the first one to reach the victory marker, depending on the scenario, will win the game. Then you get two of these. Just show you, these are your tokens. You get merit medals, which I'll show you in a minute how they work. So there's a lot of value in this box. Then you get these constructions, because the game works on building constructions as well. So this is a camp, this is a factory, so you will score points for building these. That's what the stars mean. And then the merit badges you'll earn for winning battles. And then a nice little thing included is this turn sequence little card, so you can keep this card next to you and you will never forget the turn sequence. So guys, what I'm going to do is set up a little scenario and we'll go through how the game works. So guys, before the game starts, each side has one of these cards, and this tells you what you're going to start with. So we can see here our starting troops are 1 tank, 1 artillery, 3 infantry and 1 headquarters. And at the top you can see it says deploy all your starting troops at your headquarters. Nice and simple. And then you get an army skill here, so it says bombers, planes may eliminate 1 unit from 1 enemy tile as they fly over it, as long as they move in a straight line, they are not carrying troops and there are no artillery units on the tile. So don't forget you have these special rules. Then the rest of your troops stay in this box during the game. This is like your reinforcement area. So you place that down by you and then the game starts. Okay guys, so it's the first turn. The Americans have the first turn. So what's the first thing we do when we start the game? You score any victory points for any victory stars you have, but at the start of the game that's not going to happen. So you go into drawing the resource cards. So we have 3 different types of cards. We have an attack card, which is red, and a defense card, which is blue, and a tactical card, which is green. So the Americans are going to take a red card and turn it over. It's an attack card. It says deploy 1 infantry unit on any tile you control. The new unit can move this round. Now you don't have to play this straight away. You can keep this in your hand. So the Americans are just going to keep that in their hand. The German player would now choose a card. He's going to choose a defense card. His would be before resolving a battle, deploy 1 infantry unit on the attack tile. So he keeps that face down, and that would be the drawing resource cards phase. We then go into reinforcements. Now you can deploy a unit of your choice at your HQ and then at any other factories or encampments that you've built. So at the moment we've got our headquarters here, so I'm going to choose to deploy another tank because I can choose what I'd like. So you can see here, tiny little tank which I probably can't get to focus. There you go. He's going to go there with his friend. And then the Germans, they're going to deploy another infantry. So you can see here another infantry unit. And that is the reinforcement phase. Then we go into the main part, the action phase. So in the action phase, you can play an attack card or a defense card. You can move your troops, construct buildings and resolve battles. So I'm going to move some of my troops. So we have this card here which tells us how far they move. So we can see infantry move 1 tile, tanks can move 2, artillery 1, planes can move 3. So our infantry, they're going to move 1 into this tile. I'm going to move 2 of them, in fact. And the other one is going to move into that tile. And then my tanks can move 2. So they're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. Now that's our movement. So what we do after this is, in fact, let's say both infantry have moved into this tile. So what we're going to do is they're going to construct a building because they want to score more points. So you have to have at least 1 infantry on the tile to build. So we're going to lay down an encampment. So what we do is we remove our infantry back to our card, our reinforcement, and we lay this down. Now, because we've still got 1 infantry on the tile, they now control this. This is now active. So they're going to score 1 point there for that star, and they're going to score a point for that star on the tile. If this infantry wasn't here, they don't control that tile. So the whole aim of the game is to build and score as many stars as you can to win. So there's no battles. I'm not playing an attack card, so it'd go to the Germans. So let's just say the Germans moved 2 infantry into here, and then they move a tank 1, 2 into this tile. Now, as soon as you move into a tile occupied by an enemy, that is a battle, and that starts a battle. Now, that battle is not going to go well for that German tank, but let's just say we had an infantry and an artillery in that tile as well. So what we'll do now is look at how we resolve a battle. So this card here is how we resolve a battle, and it's done in initiative order. So you can see artillery have initiative 3, tanks have initiative 2, infantry and planes have initiative 1. So you can see the attacker is at the top and the defender is at the bottom. So let's lay that down there a minute. So the Germans are the attackers because they moved into the tile. So their tank's going to get initiative 2. Their artillery, unfortunately, gets initiative 0 for attacking. And their infantry get initiative 1. Now, the Americans have 2 tanks, which are initiative 1 as defender. Now what happens is we just go in initiative order. There's no dice rolling, there's no cards. You just eliminate people. So this tank, he is first in line. You can see casualty priority is infantry. So we haven't got any infantry. So the next is a tank. So that German tank destroys one of our tanks and he's out the game. We go down the line. The infantry are attacking next. So their casualty priority is a infantry. There are none. It's then a tank. So this tank would be destroyed. But because the tank is in the same initiative, he gets to attack back and he would destroy that infantry. So you can see the Germans have 2 left. They have won the battle. And that is about it. It's pretty simple. So really, you need to work out how you're going to attack. And infantry are always the first casualty priority. So a simple battle there, but what happens now is that the Germans earn this merit, and if they win another battle, it turns over and they gain a star. So battles are really simple. And what we if the Germans had an attack card, they could have used that to enforce their attack, and if the Americans had a defense card, they could have played that against them. So all that's done, the action turn is finished. It's now the tactical phase. So if you had a tactical card at this point, you could play a tactical card, such as this. Play this card face up in front of a rival. This card counts for the player's hand limit. To discard this card, that player will have to skip playing cards for 1 round. So you can use tactical things to interrupt your opponents. Then we get the arms race. Now the arms race is, you may add 1 resource card. So these cards we drew at the beginning. If you have 1 merit badge, like I just showed you, you can use one of your cards to get points to win the game. So this 3 here, you could use this card, sacrifice the card, and you've got 3 points towards winning the arms race. And you need 15 points from your cards. But remember, you're sacrificing your cards, so you're not going to have any cards to help you in battles. Now once that's done, it's the upkeep phase. You eliminate any excess units on the map or planes in water, which we don't need to do. So you go to the start of the second turn, and this is where you score points. So for the Americans, they're going to score 1 point there for that star, and they're going to score 2 here. So they got a total of 3. So you then move your track up to 3, and the Germans have 1 here, and they haven't won another battle yet, so they haven't got another star, so the Germans are on 1. So it's 3-1 going into the second turn. Now if the Germans attacked here and the Americans lost this and the Germans managed to get into here, the Germans at the end of their turn, they would only score 1. So they go down to 1, but the Germans would have 2 and they'd go up to 2. So it's this back and forth battle between each other. So at its heart, it's a very, very simple game. There are certain things when you get into different scenarios, but overall, a very, very simple game. Good fun. You can play it solo. There is a solo rules that come with the game. I haven't tried these yet, but the main game is very interesting. Now, the last point to touch on, the scenario will tell you how many of factories or encampments you have to build. You don't have an unlimited supply. That would be unfair. So if the Americans decided to try and build a factory there, if they lose battles, it's very likely that the Germans would then go in there and capture their factories. So you have to be very careful about where you're placing your buildings. But the main objective, as I've said, is just to get as many stars as you can to then go up to the allotted victory points, which is 10 in this case, to win the game. Now the game supports up to 6 players, but I would imagine 4 people playing would be the sweet spot. But for this review, I've just played it by myself. I have played a couple of games against my son. It was really good fun. And that's about it, guys. So would I recommend the game? Yes, I would. It's very light-hearted. This is not a deep simulation. This is not, you know, you're not going to find that here. You're not going to find that depth. But if you want to crack open a few beers and play a fun World War II game, then this is definitely worth looking at. So, as always, guys, make sure to like, comment and subscribe on my videos. I've been JK WARGAMES, and I'll see you in the next video.